What's up, everybody? This is What is Sports. I'm your host, Tyler Dietz. With me is Nick Grant. How's it going, Nick?
Man, it's going pretty well. Had a nice weekend, and there's a lot going on. I'm ready to talk about it. Looking forward to a good show.
Yeah, all right. And we also got JP Cochran. How are you doing this fine evening, Mr. James?
Oh, I'm doing pretty fine. Can't complain too much.
This episode, we are talking about the NBA 2019 season, which just kicked off this past week.
Or really just tipped off. They don't
tipped
kick.
Off, slam dunk, Nick.
Yeah, using that lingo.
We're also going to be doing a game recap of the Wisconsin and Ohio State college football game, which was on this past Saturday. If you enjoy what you hear this episode, give us a like on our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter at whatisports1 with no question mark. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, or Google Play, and leave us a rating and review if you like what you hear. And finally, if you have any questions or comments, send us an email at wisportscast@gmail.com. All right, so before we get into the main topic, we got some news.
Yeah, we got a lot of news, man. A lot of updates, a lot of big things happening. I'm excited to get into it.
What is it, man? Tell us.
Well, rugby. Nick, you watched some rugby this weekend, right?
Yeah, I watched the England and New Zealand match, and it was actually very entertaining. Did you guys watch any of it?
I did. JP, did you?
I was unable to.
You're out of town, weren't you? You're at a wedding, right?
Yeah, there are a lot of sports I missed because I was at a wedding.
Anyways, yeah, so it was England versus New Zealand, the semifinals for the Rugby World Cup. It was on Saturday at 3 a.m. Central Time, bright and early in the morning.
Or bright and dark. And I did not watch it at that time. I had it recorded and watched it a little bit later in the day.
That's right. What are you, some kind of psychopath, Nick? Jeez.
Yeah, a real rugby fan would get up and watch it live.
Yeah, but I'm just here for the experience. I'm not here for the pageantry and all that good stuff. I just want to enjoy it on my own time.
So what did you think of the match?
Man, it was actually very entertaining. We're not going to do a total recap, but there's a few things I wanted to point out. England won 19-7, and England jumped out pretty quick. And then after that, it was pretty neck and neck, but you could tell that England was just dominating. Like the ball, I guess, was closer on the New Zealand side. Their goal end zone, forgot what they're all called. And there's actually 2 tries that England made that were called back. I think one was due to a forward pass. After further review, there's a forward pass, and they called the try back and something else. But it was actually very entertaining.
That was also a forward pass. It seems to be like the big reason, or like the big penalty that gets a lot of rugby teams is the forward pass. Did you see the one where it was the second try that was called?
Where they were kind of like the scrum, and the guy barely forward pass, like just handed it off forward, and then it was called back because of that.
Yeah.
That was.
So both of them were really cool plays, but I enjoyed this game a lot as well. England was great. Of course, especially given that New Zealand was the favorite team to win. All right, so the other match we had this weekend was Wales and South Africa. Nick, you didn't watch this one, did you?
I watched about 5 minutes. I kind of skimmed through. I didn't pay much attention to it.
It was a good one as well. South Africa was the favorite team, and they did win. So it's going to be South Africa and England playing in the final match this Saturday at 4 a.m. on NBC Sports.
Which I will also be recording and watching at a later time.
Right. And then the match for third is going to be New Zealand and Wales, which will be this Friday at 4 a.m. on NBC Sports. So check it out. Rugby's a lot of fun to watch, as we've been saying. I think that it's funny because usually whenever it's a defensive game for most sports, it's less exciting, but I feel like a defensive rugby match is still a lot of fun.
Oh, most definitely. And it's really cool because, I mean, it's just guys. It's basically just like a wall of dudes just hitting each other, and it's so hard to break away. And you always feel on a defensive game, it feels like a break can happen at any time, and you're just waiting for that to happen. And when I was watching the game this weekend, I was like, man, this really just kind of like Red Rover, like a more violent version of Red Rover.
See, I was thinking, like, it looks like war. Like, it looks like a battle scene or something like that from a movie where they're trying to, like, push through the enemy lines and stuff. I'm like, yeah, this like, it seems like they're using, like, similar strategies and stuff. It's really interesting to watch. So, highly recommended. Watch some rugby. All right, next up we got MLS playoffs, Major League Soccer. The quarterfinals were this past Wednesday and Thursday. October 23rd and October 24th, Toronto FC beat New York City FC, which was a huge upset. Toronto FC is the 4th-ranked team. New York City is the 1st-ranked team. It was assumed that New York City and LAFC would face each other in the finals, but that's not the case. So it's pretty crazy that this happened. And you have Seattle Sounders beat Real Salt Lake 2-0. And then on Thursday, the 24th, you have Atlanta United beat Philadelphia 2-0. And a lot of this was due to Philadelphia had a couple of injuries, and they were out a few players, and so Atlanta kind of crushed them. And then finally, you get the big match of this past week. LAFC beat the LA Galaxy 5-3. Now, this wasn't an upset, but this was a big deal because it's 2 LA teams. Did y'all hear what they call this matchup, the 2 LA teams?
The Battle of Los Angeles.
No, it's a good album by Rage Against the Machine, but no, it's El Tráfico, because apparently it causes a lot of traffic in Los Angeles. That's actually like a play on El Clásico, which is the match between Real Madrid and FC Barcelona, the 2 big Spain soccer teams. So El Tráfico happened this past Thursday. It was a really, really exciting match. Very high stakes because it was this big events type match. These 2 teams, have a pretty big rivalry against each other. Actually, LAFC has never beaten LA Galaxy despite being the higher ranked team, which is interesting. Crazy. Yeah.
Sports are wild, man. Sports are wild.
That they are, but LAFC ended up winning anyways, 5-3. So it was a high-scoring soccer match. Generally it was back and forth. It was very neck and neck. The winning goal was scored within the last 10 minutes of the game by LAFC. So very entertaining match. We're going to have the conference finals coming up. Actually, one of them is the night that we are recording. That is going to be LAFC versus Seattle Sounders at 9 p.m. Central. And then the other one is going to be the night that this episode releases, Wednesday, the 30th at 7 p.m. Central. That's going to be Atlanta United versus Toronto FC. And then as for the finals, those are going to be November 10th. So we have a little bit of a break before that happens. It's going to be at 2 p.m. Central on November 10th. Okay. Next up, Nick, do you have some, what do you have for us for news?
We'll have a few short things that are kind of big before we get into some MLB World Series updates. But I know JP's heard about this. The NCAA, a lot of players are mad because the schools are profiting off their likenesses. There was the NCAA football game, and it was basically taking the players, and the players weren't being compensated. It was a big deal. Everybody talks about should college players be paid. Well, the NCAA's top decision makers voted unanimously on Tuesday, which is the day of recording, to start the process of modifying its rule to allow college athletes to profit from their names, images, and likenesses in a manner consistent with the collegiate model. So that's a pretty
so they don't get paid by the college, but they can get sponsored by Nike or whatever and get money that way.
That's kind of. I don't think they can get sponsored, but let's say,
or if there's a video game and they use their likeness for the video game,
something like that, so they can get profit from that.
Yeah, that makes sense to me because I've always been against college athletes getting paid because, NCAA is supposed to be basically a recruitment tool for professional sports, right?
Yeah, and they're amateurs, that's the whole thing. They're student athletes.
But just like with actors, though, like anybody, right? If you use someone's likeness, even if they're just, starring in a shoe commercial or something like that, like, obviously they should get paid for that. So I think that's a fair deal.
Yeah, JP, what do you think about it?
I think that I don't know. I agree that students should be compensated somehow. I know one way which they've been getting compensated for a long time is by getting, free tuition and everything like that. But I don't know. Sometimes college players are just superstars, and they, don't see really any profit from that. I mean, sometimes they might under the table or something, but.
Well, let's face it, like college athletes don't really actually get much of an education. They're playing sports most of the time. They're probably not actually learning that much,
Yeah, especially if they're a college player just who just some college players you see and you're like they're definitely going to go into the NFL, but might. But at the same time, like for instance, Johnny Manziel. I mean, he's one of the best college players. And, he didn't really make a name for himself in the NFL. Partly that was due to off-the-field stuff.
Was he the A&M guy?
Yeah. But I'm saying, these guys can make a lot of money off themselves. And I don't really agree with, everybody else, the NCAA and the school can make money off of them, but they can't do anything for themselves. So, I don't know, I think they get slighted. So
yeah, no, and JP, I totally agree. And I was thinking about Johnny Manziel on this because I remember watching or reading an article or watching some segment probably on ESPN, but it was talking about how A&M was selling all these jerseys with the number 2 on it, and of course his name isn't on the back, but everybody knows the 2's for Johnny Manziel, and he didn't get any profit from that when they were basically buying his jersey, and so. I think, I don't know, it's still kind of I feel like this is a slippery slope. Eventually, I think we probably will start paying college athletes. I think this just kind of opens the door. But, I think it's fair if we're going to use their names and likenesses for certain things, I think they should be compensated.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, I don't know. I just don't really like the NCAA. I think they're a bunch of big bullies, and I think they're a bunch of greedy old men.
Well, we'll tell them that, JP.
No. I mean, I know it's just it's no problem. It's probably so complicated how it all works, and I mean it's a lot easier said than done. When it comes to fixing the issue, solving the problem.
Yeah, and this is an issue that's been around forever, as far as I can ever remember.
Right. Yeah, it's been around for a while.
But to be continued, I guess. What else you got for us, Nick?
Real quick, Tiger Woods, y'all have heard of him?
Who?
Tiger Woods?
Tiger Woods.
Liger Woods?
Yeah, like a tiger, and then there's woods over there.
I'll have to look him up.
Yeah, he's kind of a big deal. He's a pretty good golfer, but he won the Zozo Championship for this past weekend, and that was his 82nd career PGA Tour victory. With that victory, he's now tied with Sam Snead for most career PGA Tour victories in a career. So that's pretty big. He's tied at the top, and so if he has another tour victory, he will be the winningest golfer in PGA history. So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was funny because I was thinking that golf was over since the last. Or since the playoffs were over.
Yeah, man. You can play golf any time of the year, man. There's nothing... just because it's a little cold doesn't mean you can't go out, and play 18 holes.
Right.
You can
Throw
still
on
do
a sweater.
it.
There you go.
Also, another cool thing that happened this past Sunday, on October 27th, it was the sports equinox, the only day of the year where we had NFL action, NHL, NBA, and MLB games on. So that's pretty cool. They just all were there. We had NFL, obviously, hockey, basketball, and World Series.
So we're gonna, one day discuss the World Series of poker that happens on ESPN.
We should. I don't know when that is though. Doesn't that happen in the summer?
I don't know when it is either. I just you said World Series, and I thought, poker.
So you thought poker, not baseball?
Yeah, poker. Yeah, so we got the World Series going on, Astros and Nationals. So Nick, what's going on with this?
Yeah, well, it's actually going on right now. It just Game 6 just started in Houston, but the series is 3-2 Astros. If the Astros win one more game, they win the World Series. It'll be their second World Series title in 3 years. So there's some rundowns real quick. Let's see. So I think we left off with Game 3. In that game, Astros won 4-1. Game 4, Astros won 8-1. And Game 5, Astros won 7-1. Basically, every road team, away team, has won so far in this series.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
It is. And also some controversy happened in Game 5 the other night. I read an article, and we can post it on our social media, but basically saying that the MLB needs robot umpires. There were a few strikes called or not called during the game that were very questionable. There was one point that the catcher Yan Gomes, I'm sure you say his name, caught the ball, thought it was a strike, and he's about to throw it around, and the umpire called it a ball. And I don't remember where in the game it happened, but I do remember watching the game where it looked like strike 3, and the umpire called it a ball, and I said, "You've got to be kidding me!" out loud. It kind of startled my wife, but but yeah, I think robot umps are going to be coming up and happening, and also is kind of interesting because Max Scherzer, the ace for the Nationals, was set to start in Game 5, and he was scratched due to neck spasms, and
yeah, that hurts the Nationals quite a bit.
It does, but I wanted to talk about this a little bit.
Isn't he playing tonight?
No, he's not. So, in Game 5, it was... I don't remember his name. His last name was Ross for the Nationals. Last name, Joe Ross, started for the Nationals, and Garrett Cole pitched for the Astros. And I saw some stuff online saying that maybe the Nationals decided to give a fake injury so that he wouldn't start in Game 5. And here's why I think they did it. Game 5, they're facing Garrett Cole, who's been, like I said before, one of the best pitchers this season, if not the best pitcher in the major leagues. And they said, you know what? We're probably going to lose this game because he's so great. Let's put another pitcher out there we have confidence in. Go to Houston. We're going to face Verlander, who hasn't been that great his last few postseason starts, and where Steven Strasburg pretty much shut down the Astros in the Game 2. And so if we can put ourselves in Game 6, if we have a good show in Game 6, win that, we'll have Scherzer in Game 7. So the Nationals will have their ace, one of the top pitchers in the majors, pitching in Game 7, and we don't know who the Astros would play. Probably Greinke with Garrett Cole coming out of the bullpen. But
see, I think that they would play Scherzer in Game 6 if that was the case. Because I don't think that they would run especially since the Astros are, hot right now after 3 huge wins.
Right.
I don't think that they would risk, not starting him in Game 6 if he was able to pitch.
I think if it gets out of hand for the Nationals, I could see them putting in Scherzer because, obviously if we lose tonight, then there's not going to be an opportunity for Max Scherzer. So I think I wouldn't be surprised if things go off the rails for the Nationals. I wouldn't be surprised they brought in Scherzer, but I think they're going to. To me, this is again speculation. I haven't played Major League Baseball, obviously, so I think that's their strategy, hoping to win and do well in Game 6 to get Scherzer on the mound in Game 7. Which that'd be cool. We all said a few episodes ago we all want Game 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So first of all, the robot ump thing. So in Premier League soccer, they recently started using virtual refs. They call it VAR or VAR. And so if you're ever reading about soccer, every single soccer match, they always talk about VAR. They're obsessed with it. And everyone's complaining about it, how it's taking the soul out of soccer.
I feel like that's. I know that there's so much human error when it comes to using umpires in baseball, but I don't know. It's just gonna be different.
Yeah. Well, hey, if we switch to robot umps, I guarantee you that it's gonna have a mixed reaction. But
Yeah. For me, it's mainly negative, just because. I don't know. I guess it's just change, and I don't like when they change up things too much.
If they do robot umps, they should look like C-3PO. I think that would help a lot.
I disagree, but I see your point.
But also, my kind of general feelings about the World Series so far, I'm kind of like, because I'm happy that the Astros turned things around, and that they brought it to Game 6, and that they just didn't get swept by the Nationals. But it's kind of hard to love the Astros right now, just because they have dominated so much in these games, and the games haven't been super exciting. And also, the Astros just kind of seems like this giant cold institution, I guess, compared to the Nationals at this point. And so I don't know. I kind of, at least for tonight, I'm rooting for the Nationals, even though I'm a Houston native. I want to see a good story, and I think that the Astros kind of, dominating 4 games in a row just isn't a very good story. So that's my personal opinion.
I mean, it's just I never thought that the Astros would go into Washington and win all 3 games. I mean, I think that's only happened actually once before in 1996 with the Yankees, where no one won a home game. That's like.
Well, and this was the first World Series game ever at Washington D.C., right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty sad for the Nationals fans, at least.
Yeah, I mean they probably just hate the Astros for coming in there, and
right.
And also they held the Nationals to one game to one run for all 3 games.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's that never happened to the Nationals in the regular season all year long. For the 3-game stretch, they've never had scored so few runs. So
yeah, and it's not like the Nationals can't hit. That's just a testament to how well the Astros have been pitching.
Yeah.
The Astros have definitely turned it on since Game 3. It's been crazy.
Nationals are actually up 1-0 right now, and I'm sorry.
Ooh.
You might be recording it, so.
Yeah, I'm recording it. So
well, it just started, so I think it's the first inning.
Yeah.
So.
First inning, but anyway.
And so by the time this is out, we'll already know the result. So that's cool.
Cool.
It's crazy. It's it's like this would be out in the future.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty stupid thing to say, but it's kind of cool.
You know what'd be cool? Have a sports almanac of 2025.
Yeah, be like Biff from Back to the Future.
Yeah,
we could do some crazy sports betting, but yeah, we got a few more notes, and I'll be quick. Just want to talk about some notable college football games that happened this weekend. There really wasn't a lot that I felt like talking about. Number 2 LSU defeated number 9 Auburn 23-20. That was obviously top 10 matchup, pretty close game. And then probably, I guess it's kind of an upset. Yeah, number 5 OU lost at Kansas State 48-41. Did y'all happen to watch the ending of this game?
Nope.
It was crazy. We should have watched this instead of the one that we did end up watching. But yeah, OU started out pretty quick. Kansas State took the lead, and then there was an onside kick that looked like OU recovered, but apparently there was an illegal touch, and an OU player touched the ball before it crossed the 10 yards, and so it got reversed to Kansas State ball, and they milked the clock out. So, yeah, I mean, that was really not an exciting way to present how exciting it was. But
you had to be there.
you had to see it. Google it, YouTube it. It was crazy. It was neat. So there you go. Oh, and also cool. Number 19 Michigan destroyed number 8 Notre Dame 45-14. So yeah, a lot of blowouts this weekend in college football.
All right, well, thanks very much, Nick. Let's go into our game recap next.
Game recap.
So, for the game recap this week, we watched Wisconsin versus Ohio State. Ohio State won 38-7, and yeah, it was a sad day to be a Wisconsin fan.
Yeah, it really didn't even feel that close. I mean, it was honestly probably the worst. I think it was the worst game we've done game recap on. It was
38-7. Yeah, that's just a bummer.
It's a great game if you're rooting for Ohio State.
Yeah, no, I mean, but for entertainment value, it was a snooze fest. I mean, we don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it. I mean, it was actually scoreless in the first quarter, and then Ohio State just went off, and they started chugging along. Wisconsin's running back, who's a Heisman contender, he was held to 52 yards, which is low. But, we don't need to spend a whole lot of time on this, but Ohio State's, I think he's a defensive end or linebacker, Chase Young, he was insane. He was just all over the field making plays on defense, caused a few turnovers, and towards the end of the fourth quarter, I just turned it off just because I was like, all right, this is obviously over.
Yeah.
And, that's really all that needs to be said about the game. I mean, do you guys have any thoughts about it? It was boring.
I wasn't able to watch it.
No, that's right.
But I mean, that just sometimes when you look forward all day to a game and then it's just a blowout, it's a bummer.
See, but I wouldn't say this completely not entertaining because, like, Ohio had some fantastic plays.
They did.
And like, really exciting offensive plays. And so I don't think that a game like this is always necessarily a bad game because I prefer something like this to something that's all field goals and stuff, like the Dallas-New Orleans game. Mm-hmm. It's something like this is more entertaining to me because at least one team's doing something.
But yeah, we also, before we move on, friend of the show, our good friend Emily from Kansas City, she's a Ohio State fan. Her parents went to Ohio State. A lot of her family went there. And so I'm not going to read her entire letter because it's a bit long and wordy. She says, I do not love football tremendously, so I asked experts for their opinion on the Ohio State University's football game versus Wisconsin. No one was surprised that the Ohio State University blew Wisconsin out of the water, especially with Wisconsin's embarrassing loss to Iowa. And then parentheses, she wrote, it was Iowa, right? It was not. It was Illinois, but I understand. Her mom said it was total domination. Her uncle said it was wet. That's another thing. It was raining quite a bit, so I think that had something to do with the action on the field. And Emily writes, SpongeBob halftime show was epic. She wrote a bunch of letters, and I guess it stands for the best damn band in the land. I'm assuming that's what it is. Truly can't be topped. And then she says, to talk about UNT, she went to University of North Texas, and she talks about how they play football, and also Patrick Mahomes got hurt because she's a Chiefs fan. And probably the most important part of the letter, she says, I also lost my fantasy football match up, of which I never had a chance of winning. It was a weekend of losing. I am a loser. So
her team is no good. I was happy when I played her team because I knew I would crush her.
You calling her a loser, JP?
Yeah, somewhat.
She's not a loser. She's a good friend of the show. Thanks for the letter, Emily. We will cherish this memory forever.
Very good. All right, so next week for the game recap, you got some options for us, yeah?
Yeah, there's not a whole lot. So in the college football field, but there's actually one college football game. Number 10 Georgia and number 7 Florida.
We're watching too much college football.
All right. Well, I'm just saying it'll be a good one.
You do not like college football?
The college football is fine. We got to spice up this thing, though. You know what I'm saying?
I got it. Patriots and Ravens Sunday night, 7:20 Central Time on NBC. That's a possibility. And then I thought, we got some other stuff happening, so let's take a look at that. NBA on Wednesday night. We have the Bucks and Celtics on ESPN, and Thursday night you have the Heat and Hawks on TNT, and then so we can watch those, kind of get back into basketball, or for some Major League Soccer, we can watch Atlanta United and Toronto FC Wednesday night.
Well, you know what my vote's for?
Mr. Soccer.
Soccer, yeah.
All right, JP, what's your vote?
Well, we could do soccer, change it up a little bit.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, actually, my vote was soccer too. Just because we haven't really done a game recap for soccer, really.
I guess not, have we?
And also, it's it's a big matchup, and I think there's a lot more at stake. So there it is, fans. We will be watching Atlanta United and Toronto FC airing Wednesday. That's the 30th. That's the day this recording's out. So sorry for the no heads up. But it'll be, we'll post on social media, 7 p.m. Central Time on FS1. It will be a fun game, and we can't wait to talk about it with all of you.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, so on to our main topic for today. We're going to be talking about the National Basketball Alliance.
Armageddon?
Apples? No, so we're going to be talking about the NBA 2019 season. The way that the season's laid out, October 22nd was the beginning of the season. It's going to be happening until April 15th, 2020. There are going to be 82 games per team. The All-Star Game is going to be February 16th in Chicago. And the playoffs are going to start April 18th. They're going to be going on until May or June 2020. And the finals are set to be in June 2020 as well. So that is the year ahead. Now, you guys each split it up according to conference. Okay, JP, you got the Eastern Conference. Nick, you got the Western Conference. Who wants to go first?
I'll let JP go first because he's a handsome fella, and I think he deserves to go first. So there you go.
I say, handsome fellas first.
Yeah, handsome fella first.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it. You said I have the Western Conference?
Eastern.
Oh gosh, Nick, you go ahead first. You're handsome too. You go first.
Did you not look up anything for the Eastern Conference?
I'll be okay. You go ahead, Nick.
Bide him some time, Nick.
All right, here we go. So the structure of the Western Conference, it's made up of 3 divisions: the Northwest, Pacific, and the Southwest. Each division has 5 teams within those divisions, so there's 15 total. Some notable teams in the Western Conference: you have the Denver Nuggets, Oklahoma City Thunder, every California team, Golden State Warriors and Lakers, Clippers, Rockets, Mavericks, Spurs, and Pelicans. And we just want to briefly talk about how the season's set up, which Dietz did a great job on doing. And I just wanted to talk about some of the big moves, not for all the teams in the Western Conference, but just some big names that were moved. First up, we have Golden State Warriors. They added D'Angelo Russell from the Nets. He's a really good player, been in the league for several years. But the main storyline here with the Warriors is their departures. They lost Kevin Durant. He went with the Nets, signed with the Nets. Andre Iguodala, he was traded to the Grizzlies. And DeMarcus Cousins, he signed with the Lakers.
And because I keep hearing about how the Warriors are, how the season is going to be such a fall from grace for them.
Oh yeah, because they lost several. I mean, Kevin Durant, Andre Iguodala. Kevin Durant is probably one of the. He's arguably one of the best. Well, he is one of the best basketball players.
But they did so well without him.
They did. But I'm about to get to this another part too. They did re-sign Klay Thompson, but I believe he is out for the year because if you remember, he was injured in the finals. I think it was the finals, or maybe it was
that's right. Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was the conference finals. But so he won't be back until I think April.
Wow.
It's a long time, and so I think they're saying he's gonna be out for the year. So you lost several key playmakers, and it's definitely gonna be a different style. Yeah, they still have Steph Curry, and he's a fantastic ball player and leader, but it's gonna be a little bit different than how it had
I feel
been.
like what's happened though is that the Golden State Warriors have come from being like the best team of all time, and now they're just like a normal team, basically. Right?
I mean, they're still good. And they still have Draymond Green, I believe.
Yeah.
So they'll be good, but it's when you lose that much firepower, it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
But Houston Rockets, Dietz's Houston Rockets, they added probably the biggest thing. They added Russell Westbrook. They traded him from Oklahoma City.
Yeah, which I'm real excited about.
It's pretty cool. And one of the neat things is James Harden, before he went to play for the Rockets, he was on the Oklahoma City Thunder with Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant. So James Harden playing with Russell Westbrook again, they have that connection, that chemistry, or some relationship already previously. So that'll be cool to see unfold. Then they signed Tyson Chandler, who's a veteran center, so that's a big addition. But with the trade to get Russell Westbrook, they traded away Chris Paul, who's a pretty good player too, pretty big player. So that was a big departure.
I like Chris Paul a lot. Because he didn't get along with James Harden, right? Like they had issues off the field, didn't they?
I'd rather have Westbrook on my team, anyways.
For sure. Yeah.
He's great. Next up, we have the Los Angeles Clippers. They added Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. They traded Kawhi Leonard signed as a free agent, and they traded for Paul George from Oklahoma City. And they're both, obviously, Kawhi Leonard was the MVP, just won NBA title with the Raptors. Huge addition. Previously played with the Spurs, so it's a really big deal. And Paul George is a really good player as well. Those are big additions. And then the Lakers probably made the most splash with their trade for Anthony Davis from the Pelicans. And then they signed DeMarcus Cousins, which I mentioned before. They signed Avery Bradley, who's a really good veteran. And they also added Danny Green, who has a lot of experience, played with the Spurs as well, and with the Raptors this past season when they won the NBA Finals. He's a lot of experience. The Lakers, they look like they should have on paper they should have a really good team. I think, they still have LeBron James, who isn't who he used to be, but he's still pretty good.
He's still LeBron James.
Yeah, he's still one of the best players in basketball. Don't get me wrong, but he's not like prime time LeBron James, but he's still really good. But obviously, the Anthony Davis trade is huge. A lot of people are expecting the Clippers and the Lakers to either meet or be the representative of the Western Conference come playoff time. So some awesome additions there.
Yeah, it's going to be El Trafico times 2. You know?
Yeah, no kidding. Also, Memphis Grizzlies, they added Dwight Howard. He's not the player he used to be, but he's still pretty big. They traded and got Andre Iguodala, and they also drafted was it Jay Morant or John Morant?
John Morant, yeah.
Yeah, they got John Morant. So Dietz, you liked him.
March Madness, yeah.
Yeah, so you're a Memphis Grizzlies fan. Pelicans, they added pretty much all the guys from the Anthony Davis trade: Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, and Josh Hart. They added Derek Favors. Then they drafted Zion Williamson, who was number 1 overall pick, and Jackson Hayes, who was the number 8 overall pick. So some big additions in their team. Oklahoma City Thunder, they added Chris Paul. Portland Trailblazers, they added Hassan Whiteside, Kent Bazemore, and Pau Gasol. Those were just some of the big names that were moved around in the Western Conference. But I think my favorite teams to watch, who I think have the best chance of making it to the finals, the Lakers, Rockets, and Clippers, just because the Lakers had an overhaul on their team, and the Clippers are going to be looking pretty deadly. And they played the Warriors tough, didn't they, in the playoffs? Wasn't the Clippers that played them hard?
The Clippers took the series. They lost the series 4-2 against the Warriors, which compared to how the Warriors were destroying everyone else, was quite good.
With the additions of Kawhi Leonard, obviously they're going to be really good. And then with the Rockets picking up Russell Westbrook, that's a big deal as well. So those are my 3 teams to watch, which I'm sure that's pretty much everybody's 3 teams to watch just because of their additions. But
see, I'm really excited about how much movement there was. It's like there is no dynasty team. It's all fresh. It seems like, so many people got switched around that it makes it really exciting to see what turns up. I'm excited for the Western Conference. JP, you got some stuff for the Eastern Conference for us?
Yeah, so I guess the biggest thing would be the biggest thing I can think of is the Kawhi Leonard of the Raptors going to the Clippers. Just because, I don't know, like I was watching ESPN the other day, and they're showing the ring ceremony, and it was just I felt bad for the Raptors, basically I just don't see them, they're going to be a good team, but they're not going to be near as dominant as last year. So it just, I don't know, for me personally, I wanted Kawhi to stay in Toronto, but I think it'll be exciting in him being a Clipper as well. And so like teams to watch, the Bucks with what's his name, Giannis.
Yep.
Yeah. So last year, during last year's playoffs, a lot of people, like, I thought the Bucks would end up going to the finals. I think it was the Raptors who barely beat the Bucks.
Yeah, whenever we were watching it, I was definitely expecting the Bucks to beat the Raptors. And actually, that series is when I really took a liking to the Raptors, because I had just so much fun rooting for them.
Right.
Because I didn't expect them to win. They just did so well in that series. So, yeah, I'll be keeping an eye on the Bucks this year. I like Giannis a lot, and so it's good that he stuck with the Bucks this season.
Right. And like Nick was talking about, I know he was talking about a lot of players, but like Kevin Durant, he's on the Brooklyn Nets now. And also, like, I'm not sure how long. Nick, do you know how long the Brooklyn Nets have been around for?
They used to be the New Jersey Nets, and they moved to Brooklyn a few years ago. I don't know the exact year, but...
Yeah, so, like, when it comes to New York City, I was hearing one talk show host discuss this. Like, it goes, like, the Yankees, they're, like, the number one team in New York, and then it's just, like, the Yankees, the Giants, the Jets, the New York Knicks, and like, the hockey team, the New York Rangers. And so, like, basically, when it comes to sports teams, the Nets are kind of like at the bottom of the totem pole because they're somewhat new, and I think they're just in the shadow, when it comes to the NBA, in the shadow of the New York Knicks. But, you know, it's kind of surprised me, at least, you know, hearing Kevin Durant go from the Warriors to the Nets, and, you know, they have Kyrie, and also I see DeAndre Jordan was added to the Brooklyn Nets as well, so that should be really interesting.
All right, looking forward to it. Well, so we are kind of running a little bit late, so I'm actually going to cut us off there. Let's wrap up the episode. So next week we are going to be recapping the Wednesday night Major League Soccer semifinal, Atlanta United versus Toronto FC, which again is Wednesday, October 30th at 7 p.m. Central on Fox Sports 1. Check it out. Tune in with us. We're also going to be, I'm sure, talking about what to look forward to as far as the upcoming MLS playoffs finals, which will be happening shortly afterwards. The main topic is yet to be determined. We'll announce that on social media this week once we've discussed that. But that's all we have for this week's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys next Wednesday.